Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shelby and today I'm going to be doing my May reading journal setup. This month I am very excited that my theme is the Grishaverse. Even though the show Shadow and Bone came out on Netflix in April, I still wanted to celebrate it by making it my theme for this month. The theme was heavily inspired by the deluxe collector's edition of Shadow and Bone. I absolutely loved the design with the gold and the black, and I decided to base my theme on this design. So first off, we are starting with the collage page. I had a lot of fun with this one. If you are tuning into one of my Plan With Me videos for the first time, I always like to start off my reading journal spreads with a collage that kind of represents the aesthetic of the theme. I looked up Grishaverse aesthetic on Pinterest and had so many options to choose from. I wanted to represent both Shadow and Bone and Six of Crows in this collage, so you'll see aesthetics from both series. I decided to add some maps of the Grishaverse, so you see Ravka and Ketterdam and all the places that are explored in all the series that Leigh Bardugo has written. And I think it's a really fun way to just begin the spread, and I think it represents the Grishaverse very well. For the title page of the spread, I did a variation of the cover design from the Deluxe Collector's Edition. As you can see, I'm really only using a few pens/markers for this entire spread. My black Tombow brush pen, the 0.3 and 0.5 micron pens, a black Sharpie, and an oil-based gold paint Sharpie. I was really worried about it bleeding through in my Archer and Olive journal, but the pages in the Archer and Olive journal are really amazing and nothing bled through. I also found the font that Leigh Bardugo has on all of her book titles, and I did my best to imitate it in this spread. I'm not sure how well it turned out, but I'm pretty happy with it, and for those who want to know, the font is called LHF Encore Distressed. Finally, I added a few little gold details to the background of it, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think it's a really pretty cover page that represents the theme very well. Moving on to my calendar page, this is a pretty standard design for me. I love doing the compact one-page calendar and then adding a bigger section at the bottom for more important events. I added some more elements from the books. For instance, I wanted to include the antlers of the stag that plays a large role in the story, so you'll see those antlers a lot throughout the spread. Here I decided to do them in gold on either side of the May title, and that May title is once again in the Six of Crows Shadow and Bone font. I did that a bunch of times throughout this spread. It was definitely time consuming, but very worth it in the end. The next page is also very standard for me since it is where I have my TBR shelf. For those of you not familiar with the lingo, TBR stands for to be read, and it is basically where I put all the books that I would like to read for May. Below it is my days read countdown, and this is where I fill in all the days that I have read in the month. And when I say that I have read a day, usually that means if I have read a chapter or more, I fill that out as a day read. For the actual numbers for the days read, I wanted to include the eclipsing moon imagery here. That is very representative of the characters in the book. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I am trying very hard not to spoil anything, but I will say that the Shadow and Bone Netflix show is one of the best book-to-screen adaptations I have seen in a very long time, and that made me so happy while watching it because, as we all know, a book-to-screen adaptation can either be okay or it can fail miserably. So I'm very excited to say that I actually very much enjoyed it. Finally, in the space below the days read, I thought it would be nice to include a cutout of the map of Ravka. I think it just kind of added a nice little element to the page and filled up some of that blank space that I didn't really want there. Now I'm just adding some of the smaller details like the numbers on my calendar and the numbers on my days read moons. So very small details, but it all came together really well in the end. The next page is my YouTube tracker where I keep track of all the videos I would like to film during the month of May. So I have 5 boxes representing the 5 videos that are going up this month, and I made a little space at the bottom for video ideas for the month. As you can see, those antlers are once again represented. I kind of wanted to use them to frame the space for the video ideas, and I am absolutely in love with how it turned out. Then right next to the antlers, you will see a little quote. This is a very famous quote from the Shadow and Bone series, and it says, "You and I are going to change the world." It fit perfectly in that little spot, and I'm happy that I got a chance to include it in this spread. My brainstorm page is one I usually like to leave pretty blank in case I have a lot of ideas this month. So I decided for the title of the page just to draw a really pretty black and gold sun with the words brainstorm written in gold inside of it. I really like how this turned out. I also decided to add another little eclipse and gold sunbeams. And that's pretty much all of it for the page. As I said, this is one I like to leave really blank, but that means I can get very creative with the titles.
Haven't you noticed?
Moving on to my books read page, this is where I keep track of all the books I read in May. This is a page I have had literally forever, and I keep it the same because, it works for me. But if an aspect of it doesn't work for you, please feel free to change it. This is kind of just what works for me to keep track of my books. For those of you who don't know, Ravka in the Grishaverse is heavily inspired by Russia. So for the bottom of my books read page, I kind of wanted to create an outline of what I think Ravka would look like. This specific outline was taken from, I think, the UK edition of Shadow and Bone, and I decided to just make it kind of a black outline of it, and I really like how it turned out. I think it looks really pretty and simple. A little bit later on, I'm going to add some gold to this, but for right now, this is kind of what it looks like, and I'm really happy with it. Finally, I put in my labels at the top of the table. I have a section for the book title, the rating, whether it's a physical ebook or audiobook, if I've reviewed it yet, and the dates I read it. Finally, we have my monthly favorites page. This one, much like my Brainstorm page, is very blank. I just wanted to have as much room as possible to put down all the things I am going to love in May. Basically, on this page, I just keep a list of any movies, TV shows, books, items, really just anything I love throughout the month, so that at the end of the year, I can kind of look back on it. That is it for the plan with me. Now we are going to go to the final flip through. I'm really happy with how this spread turned out. When I was brainstorming ideas for this Grishaverse spread, I wasn't quite sure how I was going to accomplish it, but luckily I found so much inspiration in the actual books, which is just so amazing. And I'm just so thankful to Leigh Bardugo for letting us into her stories, and for Netflix for bringing it onto the screen. I'm so happy with how the adaptation turned out, and I would love to know your thoughts on it down below. All I'll say is that I will be not so patiently waiting for them to announce a season 2 of the show, and I can't wait to see how they plan to expand the Grishaverse in the future. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Hit the notification bell to get updates on when I post. I post every single week. I hope you guys enjoyed this spread, and I will see you guys in my next video. Love you all.